Today our session is going to be on how to forget the four-person scramble. We'll look at new golf formats for 2021 to raise more money, which obviously is the objective of a fundraising golf event. And so we're going to cover a lot of subjects today. We go relatively quickly because everybody's got a busy schedule. And I'll be glad to send you the notes. I know there's some people on the session that were on my earlier session today and have asked me for copies of both notes, and I'll send those. Just after I'm done this, I'll give you sets of both of the ones from the earlier session and this one as well. So just speak, you can just sit back and listen, take some notes, but again, I'll be glad to give you the whole presentation when we're done. Today we're going to talk about the four-person scramble in events, and let's talk about first your objectives. If you're having a fundraising golf event, obviously you're trying to raise money. You want to introduce new supporters to your organization. That's really important. Remember, 75% of the people who come to a charity golf event are guests. So they may not necessarily know anything about your organization, but it's a great chance for you to get them involved with your organization. It allows you to keep existing supporters involved, especially now since you probably didn't see some of them a lot in 2020. And you really want to give the players a great experience so they'll return next year. You want to say to them, when they leave, you're going to want them to say, wow, that was really fun. That was worth taking time away from my family and my business, and I'm going to come back next year. What's the date? So that's some of your objectives. Even in this area, especially at this time of health crisis, golf events are very effective fundraisers. It allows you to communicate your mission to everyone. As I said before, it introduces new people. You can raise more money with other activities like online auctions and some other ones I'm going to show you today. And if you have an annual event, and if you can make it through the first year, you'll find that you can make it going forward. It's the first year is the time where it's make it or break it. But if you can get through the first year with a successful event, good format, people will come back next year, and that's what you want. As I said, I work with some events. I work at one event for Cornell University that's been around for 64 years. So if you can get around, if you get past the first year with a great event, you'll have a chance to keep raising more and more money each year as you add new things to your event. Now, I know some of you are experienced organizers, but I have some new people on here. So I'm just going to do a quick terminology check before I get into the format so people understand what I'm talking about. So let's talk about some of these right now. We're going to talk about hole-in-one contests. Hole-in-one contests are prizes that a golfer can win by making a hole-in-one on a particular hole. They have to make the shot to win it. Prizes can be $1,000, $50,000, and it's always insured. You're just going to come to us and we'll do the insurance. But let's say you want to offer a $10,000 hole-in-one contest. It'll cost you around $300 to cover 144 golfers. If somebody makes the hole-in-one, then we'll pay the $10,000 prize. You don't have to pay that. It actually pays multiple winners. And it's that. So a hole-in-one contest is awarded when someone makes a hole-in-one on a par 3 hole. And here's some examples of contests that have been held. This is, if you were on the earlier one, you saw this picture before. This is a person we just awarded a check to for an $85,000 boat that they won in a hole-in-one contest down in Louisville. So people do win, and it makes for a lot of excitement and helps the event come back the following year. You can also customize the hole-in-one contest to your market, and this is really important. If you're doing an event, you don't want to just have a generic thing like a 2-year lease on a Kia. Work with us, and we'll come up with creative ideas for your event. So this was an event in Philadelphia. They asked us to come up with some good ideas, and we said, hey, why don't you give the winners a choice? If they make a hole-in-one, they can go see the Sixers play, the Packers and Eagles game, or they can go down to see the Eagles and Dolphins play in Miami and play golf at Doral. Now, these things, it didn't work for 2020. Some made a hole-in-one because of the environment, but these hole-in-one contests don't expire, so they could have taken the trip anytime in the future. But I've done a lot of these for people in Dallas and San Francisco and Denver and Chicago and Boston, where we do things tied to their local teams. Close to the pin contest is set up on a par 3 hole. The golfer closest to the pin wins the prize. It could be tickets or cruises, whatever. It's just basically, it's not an insured contest because someone's going to win. But when I use the term closest to the pin today, you'll know that means someone was the closest during the day without going in the hole. And a shootout is held right after the event. It's done on a hole that finishes near the clubhouse so everybody can watch. And you can have anywhere from 4 to 18 people in the shootout. And you'll see that in the sample event I'm going to show you. And they can shoot. And the prize could be $100,000 to $1 million. A lot of my nonprofits will set it up to say, if the person makes the shot for $100,000, $50,000 goes to them, and $50,000 goes to the nonprofit. So the shootout is just a fun thing to do after your event, and it's based on the same concept as a hole-in-one, except you can do the shot from the fairway, so everybody can watch it in the clubhouse. You gather around with beer and wine, and everybody watches. It's a great way to finish an event. And they're great, one of the best sponsorship opportunities because everybody's gathered around watching the shot. So sponsors love the recognition of being the shootout sponsor. Now, before we get into the formats, I do want to cover a couple of things because of the COVID situation. People have asked me to cover something. So there are some challenges because of what happened in the healthcare crisis. Hopefully the vaccine works and we're all good for 2021. But if not, there's some formats you can use that you can use during a situation where you have to space out a little bit. And I'm going to send you these, as I said before, anybody who's just signed on, I'll be glad to send you a copy of this presentation. So I won't read everything on these, but these are some of the options you can have if you're going to have to be socially distanced during an event. You can't have a 4-person scramble with 144 golfers all jammed together. So you can do an event like this. This is one of the people who use Perfect Golf Event, and they set it up so there were tee times during the day. So rather than have a scramble, they had assigned tee times spread out during the day, and then they had their award ceremony on Zoom afterwards to announce the winners and to thank everyone. You can also, and this kind of explains how that works. I don't want to go through, I won't read everything here because I'm going to send this to you. But you can also have one with a live event with tee times, and then you can bring them back, and that's because they can be spaced out. So you can have them play during the day. You invite the golfers to come back for a shootout. You spread out outside with the tables with, places where they can get a cocktail or wine or beer, but nobody's jammed together with, 72 carts lined up next to each other. So it's set up a social distancing. But this is a good option because you get a chance to invite them back, and then you can still have your raffle, your silent auction. You get some of the network capabilities without necessarily having to worry about jamming everybody in a scramble. And again, this is how that works. People play throughout the day, and then you bring them back for the shootout. And again, I'll give you a copy of this. And the final one is, some events have done this, is where they say to people, look, we can't have our event, but we've set up the golf course where you can go play the golf course. Some of the funds are going to come to us, play anytime during a particular date range, report the score back to us, and then we'll have an award ceremony at the end. And here's an example of one that just did this in 2020, where they had play wherever it lies. You'd go out and play from July 15th to August 15th, report your scores back to us. And then it's a great way to support the school and still be safe. And they use Perfect Golf Event to register everybody for the event. So you have some options if you're in a tough state that has stricter requirements. I would say this: we're seeing more and more events going back to their normal 4-person scrambles for next year. They feel comfortable that the vaccine is going to loosen up and people are going to feel safe. But you'll have these in your pocket if you have to make an adjustment. And again, I won't read these because it'd be boring to hear me read it, but you can have a copy if you want to know how to do it. Now, let's go into the basis of the webinar here. We're going to talk about why the 4-person scramble is sort of a dying breed. In my expertise, I've learned that it just becomes boring. People they're out there too long. If you've had an event and you know how long people are out on the golf course, they're spread out. They're chased. One guy's in the woods. One's here. One lady's over here. They're all spread out. And also 99.9% of the events that are held in the country do the 4-person scramble. So let's mix it up a little bit, and let's do something that's going to energize your event, attract more golfers, get more sponsor revenue, have people remember it and come back next year because they'll say, you know what, that was so much better than a 4-person scramble with a box lunch and some awards. So that's what we're trying to say here, is be open to new formats. The question is, you're going to be competing against other people. And there's going to be a lot of events. We've introduced this concept of different formats into a lot of markets, and you're going to see that somebody's going to have an event the same day you. It's going to have one of these new formats, and you're going to say, wait a second, why don't we do it in a new format? But if they're not doing it in your market, you could be the first one to go out there. Here's one that's going in Denver that's picking up this one of our new formats. That's going to say, hey, come out to this event. It's completely different than the 4-person scramble. They're going to attract a lot of people. What you want to do is work with your committee on your event flow. So what do you have in place to attract players and sponsors before your event? Why are people going to be interested in your event? What's happening prior to tee-off that keeps players engaged and entertained? If you've been to an event, you know that a lot of golfers show up early because, hey, they're taking a day off from work. They want to hit some golf balls. They're excited to be there. And you do them a disservice if you don't have fun contests going on. I'm going to give you examples in a bit. What's happening on the course? What kind of hole-in-one contests and other things are happening that make them say, wow, that was really exciting out there? And then are the golfers and sponsor just standing around? You've been there. You've watched the teams come in, and then one team posts 26 under, which means they pencil whip the whole field and they cheat a little bit, and everybody goes home going, I wonder how they shot that because that seems unreasonable. So when you finish with a shootout and things like that, people remember, they'll go back and say, hey, at the end, I watched some people shoot for $1 million. It changes the whole attitude golfers have when they're leaving your event. Again, so what are your highlights? Box lunch, golf with a cart, scoring. I would say 70% of the events still do it the old style way. You may want to look. This is actually an event that I do in St. Louis, and you can see that I follow what I preach. This is our event day highlights. Pre-event, what are we doing? What's happening on the course that's exciting? After golf, we're having a shootout for $1 million with one golfer winning $1,000. We have tons of activities. We're having a ball drop with a Firetruck. Just all the things that are fun. And again, you're going to get a copy of this. And I would encourage you to sit down with your committee and say, I'm looking at this thing for this event, and I'm looking at what we're doing at our event, and we might want to think about adding some additional stuff, to make our event maybe more interesting. And here's some of the options to consider. So I'm going to give you the options, and I'm going to show you real events already set up using these options for next year. They may be in your own market, so you may be competing with them. But some of the things to think about, and again, most events are 4-person scramble, 18 holes, 144 golfers, and that's it. So some options. You could have an 18-hole par 3 event. 18-hole event with a shootout. So at least add a shootout at the end of it. So you have normal 18 holes. You have 4 par 3 holes with contests. We take the 2 golfers closest to the pin during the event, so it gets us to 8 golfers. And they can have a shootout at the end for $1 million, $500,000, or $100,000. But at least we've added a shootout to the normal event, so we finish with something interesting. We do a lot of events now that are 9 and 9, which means they have 9 regulation holes, and then they have 9 par 3 holes. So what they do is each golf course normally has 4 par 3 holes. They'll then pick 5 other holes on the course, and they'll move the tee boxes up into the fairway. They'll have 9 hole-in-one contests. They'll have the 9 golfers close to the pin come in for the shootout. So golfers still get to use their clubs on 9 regulation holes, but they still have chance to win 9 hole-in-one contests. And these can be done to fit any budget for the prizes. That's important to say. We can make the budget work for anybody. Then you can get into the big leagues with 18 par 3 holes. So you take the whole course, make it all par 3 holes, 18 hole-in-one contests, close to the pin on all the par 3s, and the 18 golfers close to the pin, they come in and have their shootout. This has been really popular, and I'll show you live examples so you know I'm not just making this stuff up. And then another one that one of our organizers came up with, and I thought this was really interesting for 2021, they're doing a normal 18-hole golf course event in the morning. So they're going to have regular golf because people sometimes want to, it's a nice golf course. Some people want to play the golf course as a regular golfer. So they're going to have 18-hole golf course in the morning. But in the afternoon, excuse me, when people are done, they're going to have another 9-hole par 3 event. So if you play in the morning, you can still play in the afternoon, but they think they're going to get new people to come out and just want to play 9 holes on a par 3 event with hole-in-one contests. And then they're going to have a shootout. They're going to invite everybody back to have a shootout at the end. So you played in the morning, you can go home and come back, or you can play in the afternoon. But at the end, they'll get all the groups together. They're going to have a shootout with 13 close to the pin, 4 from the morning and then 9 from the afternoon. I love this format. I'm putting it into 2 of my events already. So these are kind of ideas that you have that would make your event stand out from maybe a traditional event. Now let's look at live sites so you know that I'm not making it up. Here's an event down in Jacksonville. They just did a simple thing. It was their 21st event, and all they did is add additional par 3 holes. So they're playing 9 par 3 holes and 9 standard holes. Now they're going to have the shootout at the end. It's one of the formats I talked about. This was an event that was held in 2019, got canceled in 2020, but it's coming back for 2021. In their first year, this was Folds of Honor. In this event, in the first year we did it, it was a first-time event. There's a lot of events they were competing with. They set it up as all par 3 holes. So had 18 par 3 holes with a hole-in-one prize on every hole. They sold sponsorships to cover the cost. They had a goal of $100,000. They were working with a new committee. No existing players or sponsors because it's a new event. And so they set it up like this, 18 par 3 holes. They were done in 3.5 hours. They had a shootout for $100,000 to keep the budget under control. They didn't want to do $1 million. They sold the event out, raised $106,000. They would have been sold out in 2020 if the virus hadn't hit, and they're going to sell out in 2021. I love this format. And we did the hole-in-one contest, so they had some nice higher value ones, but they had some inexpensive ones to keep the budget under control. This is the event I talked about that has 18 holes in the AM and then a 9-hole event in the PM. I love their theme. They're doing a luau, so they're bringing everybody back for a luau in the afternoon. Here's the one in Denver. They're doing multiple par 3 holes. This one was really good, and I had a couple of events already picked up on this. They're doing some unique hole-in-one contests. They're near St. Louis. They're in Western Illinois. So they're doing hole-in-one contests for tickets to the Cardinals or the Blues or whatever. But they worked with a sponsor to have a shootout. And for their shootout, they made it a $300,000 shootout for a new home. This was very creative. So the organizer said, I went to the real estate company. I said, look, we're going to have a shootout. Why don't we make it for one of your listed homes on RE/MAX? So if they make a shot, they're going to get a $300,000 credit for a new home from RE/MAX. What a great idea. As I said, I've already had a couple of events pick up this concept. They're going to real estate companies to do it. And this is what I talk about and say, let's have something that's more interesting than the 4-person scramble. This event is coming up in 2021. It's been sold out every year. For 6 years, we've sold it out. Similar concept, 18 par 3 holes. On this one, we put a $10,000 hole-in-one contest on each hole. We have a shootout for 18 golfers for $1 million. We give $10,000 to the winner. Whoever's closest to the pin during the shootout gets $10,000. And a lot of people will say, well, this must be a big, huge charity, Paul. You know, it's got to have a lot of money. No, it's for a charter school, K through 5th, with about 52 students. So it's a charter school event. But the format was so interesting that it's completely sold out. The only way you can get into it now is by a $10,000 presenting sponsor thing because everybody loves the format. They're done fast. They have a reception afterwards. So, again, I'll give you copies of all this. And it gave us, here's that event, but it gave us lots of sponsorship opportunities with that format as well. And here's some other examples. I won't, read all of them. Here's one that just happened. And the Boys and Girls Club of Polk County down in Florida, they had so much success with offering the par 3 concept that they went on to 2 golf courses, and they filled up 2 golf courses worth of players who wanted to play. So they had a golf course at this golf course, this golf. So the same day they played on 2 different golf courses. They had 18 par 3 contests on both golf courses because the concept was so popular. So something for you to think about when you're planning your event. And they did some really nice hole-in-one contests, trip to St. Andrews, Pinehurst, Tour of Kentucky, Ryder Cup. So again, golfers are going to see what you're offering at your event and say, you know what? Of course, I want to come and play it when I get a chance to win a trip to the Ryder Cup, or get a chance to go to St. Andrews. So you could add, very interesting hole-in-one contests, and then you advertise those, and people will come to your event. This is another one. I love this idea. Doing this again with another group, and they're kind of a union group, so they're going to do 9 holes of golf at a golf course, and then we moved it from September because of the virus. It's moved to the spring, but they're doing 9 holes tournament, and then the teams are going to go to a bowling alley, and the same teams are going to bowl. So they're going to play 9 holes, go to the bowling alley, set up a barbecue at the bowling alley, and then the same team that played in the group as golfers are going to play as a bowling team, and they're going to subtract their golf score from their bowling score to get the winners. How creative is this? There's a good demographic for this. This is for a police association, so it was perfect. But it just shows you, if you use your imagination, you can come up with stuff that will make your event stand out. Here's an event in Orlando, just to give you a case study. It was, again, a new event in a market where there's lots of good events, new committee, no players, and they just went ahead and put in 9 regulation, 9 par 3, and a lot of hole-in-one contests. So you can see the formula. The thing you want to look at is, then they use Perfect Golf Event to set the website up for their event, is how the budget works. So you can see in their event, they have a putting contest for 2 tickets to the Masters. The insurance cost $595. They sold it as a sponsorship. 9 hole-in-one contests, $300 each. They sold it as a sponsorship. Long drive, close to pin. The shootout, 9 shots, cost them $2,200. And so they had a cost of $5,850. They sold the sponsorships total for $10,000. So they netted money off of them. But more importantly, the format attracted people who wanted to come play in the event. So you can do that even on a budget. If you take it down a notch, so you're not doing $10,000 hole-in-one contest, you can do $5,000 hole-in-one contest, and you could do 9 shots for $100,000 instead of $1 million. But the format is the key, and you can still sell it as sponsorships, and people will be attracted to it. And if you want to see, we've got a lot of the par 3 events already set up, and Perfect Golf Event, so you can see what was already included in those. Now, let's go through it quickly, and again, if you want to copy this presentation, I'm glad to send it to you afterwards. Just send me an email. And if you already requested one for the afternoon earlier session, I already have that request. I'll send it to you afterwards. So some other ideas to raise more money. Putting contest. If you don't have a putting contest, it's a great way to add more event. You do it before your event. 2 putts for $25. You can have an insured contest where you buy insurance from us, and if somebody makes it, the putt, you get it down to 1 final winner. He takes the final putt, he or she. If they make the putt, then we'll pay for the tickets. We had somebody win this year. It's about a $12,000 value because Masters tickets are expensive, but the insurance covered it. Or you can do a guaranteed winner, which means you don't have to insure it. You just buy the prize from us for like sports tickets. We have this package. And when the winner's done, you just give them the certificate. You don't have to do a final putt. And here's like a putting contest entry form, where I did. Sometimes you can just do a cash putting contest. This event we did, 2 putts for $50, and we gave the winner $1,000, and the charity kept the balance. This is an event. I did that same event, and I like this concept. It was a $1 million shot hole. Let me see if I got it. Oh, let's see. Go back. $1 million shot hole. What we did is we set on the golf course, and when a team came up to this 1 par 3 hole, they picked somebody on their team to take the shot. If it went in, the team was going to receive $500,000, and the charity was going to get $500,000. And so we had like 28 teams. Every team got a shot. It was really fun because it's a pressure shot for the golfer. Some hit it in the water. We had somebody get about 3 feet from the hole. It's going to be a great sponsorship. It doesn't slow down play, but it's a neat thing to say, come out to my event. Every team's going to have a chance to shoot for $1 million. Or you can bring your budget down and do it for $100,000 or $1 million. For my events, I'll offer what's called a super ticket. So I might bundle a bunch of stuff together into it. So I might say for a super ticket, for one price, rather than have them go down the line and say, well, here's a putting contest, give them $20. I want some raffle tickets, that's $10, whatever it's going to be. You don't want to handle a lot of money during your events now. So you have them sell them one super ticket, and you can bundle that together. So again, super ticket has all the things bundled into one ticket. And here's an example. One of our organizations, this gentleman sold it for $25, and they got entry into a raffle to take a $100,000 shot, close to the pin contest, and a big ticket. You could do one that says, okay, buy it, and you get entry into the putting contest for a chance to go to Pebble Beach. You get 2 mulligans, and we're going to have somebody take a shot. This is another live example. So I'll send you this. You'll see what other events are doing. But super tickets are a good idea. Here's one that bundled together entry into the putting contest. They had a chipping contest. They had entries for a raffle. They sold it for $50. Everybody bought it, and they didn't have to have a lot of nickel and diming for $5 here, $10 here. So if you need help designing a super ticket, our staff can help you with that, and we're glad to help you. And here's how some of the math works on that, of what it costs. And then again, you can sell the super tickets. A lot of people have asked me over the years about helicopter ball drops. I've stopped doing them. First of all, the logistics are a nightmare. If there's weather and wind, you can't do it. It's hard to get the helicopter there in time. But we started using Firetrucks, and we pay the local fire department $500 as a donation to bring the truck out, and we sell the golf. Like, this is an event where we sell the golf balls for $100 each, 3 for $250, and the fire truck drops the golf balls. We put a pin into the fairway or near the green, not on the green, somewhere near, and whatever ball's closest to the pin wins the $2,500 prize. I had an event in Jacksonville that did this. They sold $27,000 worth of entries into the contest. They gave a $5,000 cash prize, so they netted a lot of money out of it. It's a nice thing to add that people will talk about for your event. So if you're interested in that, I can tell you more about it. Okay, and then let me see. Oh, this is the last thing I want to talk about before I show you Golf Surprise. The last thing, and this one really worked well last year, I call it the golden ticket, and it's the golfers pay to get upgraded contests. So you can raise more money without pressuring them, but we had an average net increase of $9,000 for every event that did this. And what we did is we said, look, you're playing in the event, and your registration fee includes all the stuff that you get normally: golf, breakfast buffet, luncheon reward, player gift, and you have some hole-in-one contests. So we had $10,000 hole-in-one contest, and then you have bonus prizes on the other par 3 holes. So if somebody makes a hole-in-one on a hole, they don't look around like, what did I win? But they'll get a $500 gift card. What we did is we sold this thing as a golden ticket and said, look, you don't have to buy it, but if you do, for $100, you get upgraded hole-in-one contest. So if you make a hole-in-one contest where you would have won a gift card, you now get Masters tickets. Or for rangefinder, you now get Super Bowl tickets or Pebble Beach. And then we also give you entry into the putting contest, 2 mulligans, and a draw name to shoot in the $1 million shootout. 92% of the people at the events I did bought the ticket. They're like, why wouldn't I pay for this? If I get a hole-in-one and I win a gift card, I'm going to feel like an idiot for not buying the upgrade for getting Masters tickets. So it's a really neat way to make additional funds, and you'll understand it more when you get this presentation from me. Now, last thing I want to mention is a new contest we're just introducing for 2021. It's a very good tool for organizers. It's called Golf Surprise. And in Golf Surprise, it's a contest, really technically a raffle for the players with some tools for you. So basically, you can say, hey, we're having an event, and I'm including a Golf Surprise in your registration fee. So maybe you include $10 in registration fee. The players give you their mobile number, and you get Golf Surprise, which includes a survey feature and a text messaging feature. And I'll explain that in just a sec. So basically, you will log onto your account after everybody's entered, and you'll put in you can cut and paste, you put in all the mobile numbers from anybody who entered. So you've got that in there. Perfect. Now you got that in. You enter mobile number, you can paste it from a spreadsheet. Number 2, you tell how much money you want to give out. So let's say you you can put it as part of your registration fee, or you can sell it as a separate contest. So let's say you sell it as a separate contest for 25 bucks. We're going to have this golf surprise raffle. You get 2,500 bucks, and you say, I'm going to distribute 1,500 bucks to the winners. We're going to keep the rest for covering our, donation to charity, but you're going to spread 1,500 bucks to all the players that entered. And the system will randomly spread out the money to golfers. They're going to win randomly, like 1 in 8 chance of golfers will win. So you enter the prize pool, you click on spread, say it goes, and all of a sudden the money is going to be spread out to all these particular people who are winning. So some are going to win 200, somebody's going to win 100, some may be 20. It could be cash you give them, or it could be credit in the pro shop. But here's the cool feature about it. You can then set your launch time. You can have it go anytime you want. So as golfers are going off the course, you can say, launch it now, and they'll get a text message saying, hey, click here to see if you've won. They don't have to download an app. It's all done through mobile technology. But what's really nice is you can set up custom questions before they see if they can win, or see if they win, you can ask them some questions. What was your score? What hole did you make a great putt? Make it fun. But you can also, how well do you know the mission of our scale 1 to 10? How well do you know the mission of our nonprofit? How likely are you to support our event sponsors? How likely are you to play in the event next year? You'll collect data that they can put numeric data in, put on a scale of 1 to 5 or whatever it's going to be. But you have data, and it's just like getting a free. They're actually paying you to get surveyed, and that gives you stuff to use for your selling sponsorships next year, saying our survey showed that 90% of the golfers are going to support our sponsors. So the tool is very valuable. It's a good asset to have. You also can use, excuse me, you can use the system to text people, to text all the golfers during the event or before the event. So if you just want to send a message out like, hey, remember tee times at 8 o'clock, see you there. Putting contest is open on the practice green. Win 10,000. Bring scorecards back to patio. So you have a texting thing built into this, so you can communicate with the golfers about things you want them to consider. That's separate from the raffle launch that you're going to do. I love this tool. I've always wanted a text tool that I could use during the event. Here it is. You've got it. So if you want to get started with that, just contact our team. Now, remember, if you're going to do all this stuff, you want to put this stuff on a spreadsheet, and I'll get glad to send you our template that we use for doing calculations. You want to put it on a marketing calendar, I'll be glad to send you the marketing calendar as well. So get started, decide on your format, get your sponsorship set up to raise more money, and then set your website up with the perfect golf event. If there's anything I can do, just send me a note if you want to copy this presentation. If there's any way I can help, let us know. Just do me a favor and consider some enhancements in your format, even if you do it over a 3-year period where you add a shootout this year, more par 3s the following year. Just keep improving your event, and you'll have much more success. Thanks for listening. Have a great holiday, and let's have great events in 2021.